What if the very thing you're gripping with all your strength is the one thing you're supposed to release? It was just after midnight when Elijah stood at the edge of the old stone bridge outside of Meriden, staring into the still black waters below. Rain fell like a whisper, soaking his jacket, but he didn't move. In his hand was a crumpled letter, creased from rereading, stained from tears he wouldn't admit he shed. He had lost everything. His wife, Ava, is gone, disappeared without warning or trace. One moment there was laughter in their little home. The next, a chilling silence. He was certain there had to be an explanation. Maybe it was the fight 2 nights before. Maybe it was something she discovered about him. Maybe it was something more sinister. He had tried to fix it. Filed police reports, hired a private investigator, posted online, searched for her face in every crowd. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. And hope was now a dying ember flickering in a storm. His career had suffered. He had withdrawn from friends. Faith? That was another story altogether. Once a man of unshakable conviction, Elijah now doubted that there was anyone or anything guiding his life. And yet, here he stood. God, if you're real, if you're still out there, say something. Do something. But only the rain answered. It wasn't the first time he questioned everything, but tonight, something felt different. Like he was standing on the edge of not just the bridge, but something deeper. The letter in his hand wasn't just a letter. It was Ava's last message, mailed from a small coastal town 400 miles away, postmarked 3 days ago. Just 3 words written in shaky pen. Let go, Elijah. No explanation. No return address. Let go? Let go of what? His search for her? His anger? His grief? His guilt? Elijah collapsed to his knees, water pooling around him. He gripped the paper tighter, whispering her name. In the silence that followed, a memory surfaced. Something she used to say in passing, like a mantra. Let go, Elijah. You don't always have to fix everything. Back then, he thought she meant leaving the dishes for tomorrow or letting someone else drive. Now, it felt like a message buried in time, waiting to be understood. But the timing, the town, the distance, why now? Why send a message only to vanish again? He rose slowly, his breath visible in the cold night air. One hand on the bridge rail, the other on the letter. His heart pounded. Was this her way of saying goodbye, or something else? A sudden sound behind him made him spin around. Footsteps, slow, cautious, coming from the shadows beneath the bridge's stone arch. Who's there? He called, voice wavering. No answer. He stepped back, nerves taut as a wire. A figure emerged. A woman, drenched, hooded, limping slightly. Elijah's breath caught. For a heartbeat, he swore it was Ava. But as she stepped under the streetlight, he realized it wasn't. Yet, she held something. A phone. Ava's phone. Elijah froze. Where did you get that? He demanded. The woman hesitated, then held it out. She told me to give this to you. Said you'd come here when you were ready to let go. His pulse thundered in his ears. Where is she? The woman's eyes gleamed with something unreadable. You're not ready for that part yet. Tell me where she is. She said you'd try to take control again. She stepped back into the shadows. But Elijah, you'll only find her when you finally stop searching. The streetlight flickered, and she was gone. Elijah stood there frozen, heart hammering like a war drum in his chest. He looked down at the phone in his hand, Ava's phone. The screen was cracked, but still intact. His trembling fingers brushed the power button. It turned on. Background wallpaper. A picture of the two of them taken years ago on their honeymoon in the Smoky Mountains. She looked so alive, so sheer. His thumb hovered over the lock screen. No passcode. That alone was strange. Ava guarded her privacy like a fortress. A single note was left open on the screen. If you found this, then you're almost there. The journey is still ahead. Let go, not just of the search, but of the need to know. Only then will truth find you. He reread the words, pulse quickening. What kind of game was this? What had Ava gotten herself into? Over the next 24 hours, Elijah drove with no destination, only the whisper of the coastal town that had postmarked the letter. It was called Davenport Cliff, an old fishing village that had been swallowed by time. It barely existed on the map, but the letter led him there. Fog clung to the shoreline like a secret. Old wooden houses with shuttered windows stared back at him like haunted eyes. As Elijah parked and stepped into the cold, salty air, he couldn't shake the sense that this place held more than it let on. He asked around. Old men on docks, waitresses in diners, even the post office clerk. No one had seen Ava, but one man, with skin like leather and eyes like tide water, leaned close and said, "You're not the first to come here chasing someone lost. But this place doesn't give answers. It asks questions." "What questions?" The man smiled without warmth, the kind only silence can answer. That night, Elijah checked into a dusty inn called The Last Beacon. The desk clerk, a thin woman with silver braids, handed him a rusted key. Room 7. When he opened the door, a chill greeted him. No one had stayed here for a long time. And yet, a candle sat fresh on the table, a notebook beside it. His name was written on the first page. He picked it up. Inside, Ava's handwriting. "I'm not lost, Elijah. I'm found, and you will be too. But you must walk this next part alone." What did she mean? Before he could read further, the wind howled and the power snapped off, plunging the room into darkness. He lit the candle, shadows dancing on the walls like restless spirits. Then came the knock. 3 soft knocks on the door. Elijah's heart stopped. He opened it slowly. No one there, but at his feet, another note folded tightly. "Tomorrow, sunrise, go to the cliff." The next morning, with fog crawling across the earth like a living thing, Elijah walked to the cliff edge. Waves crashed violently far below. He looked out into the endless gray, waiting, hoping. Behind him, he heard movement. He turned sharply. Nothing. Then he saw it, etched into the wood of the railing. "This is where you let go." He clutched the letter in his hand. It was the only thread tying him to everything he thought he understood. And in that moment, something deep inside him finally broke, not in pain, but in surrender. The grief, the guilt, the control. He opened his hand and let the letter go. It flew into the wind like a bird set free. Then, footsteps. He turned again and saw a figure standing just beyond the fog. Slowly, it stepped forward. It wasn't Ava, but it was someone he hadn't seen in almost 15 years. His brother, dead, or so Elijah believed. Elijah stumbled backward, breath stolen from his lungs. "David," he whispered, voice cracking. The figure stepped fully into view now, taller than he remembered, older, worn by time, but unmistakable. His brother. His brother, whom he had buried in his heart after a tragic accident 15 years ago on a frozen highway. David had been declared dead. Body never found, vehicle lost to the icy waters of Lake Azure. "It's not possible," Elijah murmured. "You were gone. You were gone." David's eyes, a mirror of his own, glistened with emotion. I was saved that night, but I didn't want to be found. Elijah could barely comprehend. But why? Why would you disappear? David glanced toward the horizon, waves foaming against the rocks like angry memories. Because surviving doesn't mean you're whole. I lost everything, my family, my identity. I was ashamed. I didn't think anyone could understand. So I came here. This town, it welcomes ghosts. Elijah's voice trembled. Did you send Ava away? No. David stepped closer, lowering his voice. But she found me. 6 months ago. Elijah's stomach dropped. She knew you were alive. She found me by accident. She was running, Elijah. Not from you, but from herself. The pressure, the expectations, the guilt she never shared with you. It ate her from the inside. She came here, like I did, to disappear. But something changed. She said she saw too much of you in this place. She couldn't stay gone. Tears gathered in Elijah's eyes. And where is she? David paused. I don't know. She left a message for you. The day she left this town. But I think she wanted you to go through this. She wanted you to let go, so you could finally see the truth. Elijah's jaw clenched. Truth? That you've spent your whole life trying to be the hero, fixing everyone else's brokenness, carrying the weight of everyone's choices. But you've never allowed yourself to be broken. Never let God carry you. The words hit Elijah like a wave. Ava's message, the phone, the woman on the bridge. Now, David. Each one, a layer stripped away from the illusion of control he had so tightly clung to. David reached into his coat and pulled out a leather-bound journal. Ava's. She left this for you. Said when the moment was right, you'd be ready to read it. Elijah took it with shaking hands. The first page had Ava's handwriting. To the man who never stops trying to carry the world. Maybe it's time you stop. Maybe it's time you trust the one who already carried the cross. That night, Elijah sat in silence at the foot of the cliff, reading through her words, her struggles, her confessions, her deep, aching need to disappear. Not because she didn't love him, but because she loved him too much to let her brokenness infect him. She had written of the pain she never voiced, the miscarriage she never told him about, the hopelessness that had haunted her long before their first kiss. She had written of her time in Davenport Cliff, and how, in the silence, she had learned to breathe again. Page after page was soaked with vulnerability and hope. Then, one final letter sealed in the back of the journal, addressed to him. He opened it, breath stilled. My dearest Elijah, if you're reading this, you've walked a road I never could have asked you to walk. And I disappeared because I needed to find God again, and myself. And now, I believe you're ready to find what you've been running from. Not me, not even the answers, but peace. True, undeserved, undeniable peace. Let go, Elijah. Let go of being the one who always holds it together. Let go of needing to understand everything. Let go of needing to control love, loss, and life. Only then can you be free. I'm not gone. I'm just ahead. I love you. Ava. Elijah folded the letter, tears freely falling down his face. This wasn't the ending he imagined, but maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something greater. Morning broke over Davenport Cliff like a whisper, soft golden light bleeding through the mist. Elijah stood at the cliff's edge, journal in one hand, Ava's letter in the other. The ocean no longer looked violent. It looked endless. For the first time in years, he wasn't asking for answers. He was surrendering to the unknown. Behind him, the wooden steps creaked. David joined him in silence. "You're leaving?" he asked gently. Elijah nodded. "Yeah, not to chase anymore, but to live." David placed a hand on his shoulder. "She was right, you know. You were never meant to carry it all." Elijah smiled faintly. "Neither were you. So maybe it's time we both go home. In our own way." 2 months later, the church bell rang faintly over the town of Aldridge. Elijah sat alone in the sunlit chapel, the journal resting on the pew beside him. He had returned not to escape the past, but to finally build a future that wasn't shadowed by it. He had sold the company, downsized, reconnected with his parents, his forgotten art, his neglected peace. Every morning he lit a candle, not for Ava's return, but in honor of her message. Let go. Let go of the illusion that peace comes from control. Let go of needing to fix what was never his to carry. Let go and trust that God's hands were big enough to hold what his heart could not. One evening, he walked past the old bookstore they used to visit. The bell above the door jingled, and there she was, standing at the counter, flipping through a book. She looked up, those eyes still the same ocean-deep windows he'd memorized 1,000 times. "Elijah," she breathed. He stepped forward. "You came back." She smiled through tears. "I never really left. I just needed to remember who I was. I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner." He took her hands. "Number, don't apologize. You gave me something I never knew I needed. Freedom." She nodded slowly. "So, what now?" Elijah smiled. "Now we walk forward, not to control the road, but to trust the one who made it. So what is it that you need to let go of today? Is it painful? Control? Guilt? Fear of the future? Shame from the past? Let go. Let go of the things you were never meant to carry. Let go and place it in the hands of the one who shaped the mountains, calmed the storm, and still whispers to the brokenhearted, 'Come to me, all who are weary.' Let go and let God. And if this story spoke to you, don't stop here. Subscribe to this channel now to get more stories daily. There's healing in every word, and you're not alone on this road. Subscribe now. Let's walk this journey together. True, undeserved, undeniable peace. Let go, Elijah. Let go of being the one who always holds it together. Let go of needing to understand everything. Let go of needing to control love, loss, and life. Only then can you be free. I'm not gone. I'm just ahead. I love you. Ava. Elijah folded the letter, tears freely falling down his face. This wasn't the ending he imagined, but maybe, just maybe,